So I want us to get deep into radio. Now you're the new kid on the block. Hash has been there for 8 years. Yeah. So yeah, you're the senior one here. But why radio? Why did you get into radio? How did that happen? Because you've been doing a lot of things now.
The simple answer is COVID. Yeah.
And the long answer?
The long answer is I was tuned. But no, so what happens is in my creative life, I'd perform. I used to have like almost weekly gigs, corporate functions, you know, weddings, and that was like a regular thing, MC functions, or MC roles, right, at these events, plus performing with a band and all of that. So I was busy from that point of view. I had my 8 to 5 and my 5 to 8 kind of thing, right? And then with COVID and not being able to do, you know, sort of public gatherings, that was slashed immediately, 100%. Yeah. Not even, it was a phase out, there was nothing. It was like all the events that were paid for, you are returning deposits, you know, trips. I was doing even international MC gigs now, you know, I'd go to SA for some conference that a bank is having. I was doing work in Tanzania. So all of this just disappeared. Yeah. And then I had all this free time because, you know, the law firm is still running. You guys can work from home. You sort of do your Zoom meetings. You have your little Google Docs that everyone can see what's happening. You have your schedule, your work plans. Then I have all this extra time. I was like, what? So I was like, but you need downtime. That's 1 hour. I was just like, okay, now what do we do? So I just didn't really plan for anything. I just said I need time to rest. I slept. I took walks, I hung out with people, you know, Zoom meetings, whatever. Sleeping was the main agenda. Then 2019, this media house had started reaching out to me, started talking, and I've done a lot of voiceover recordings for them. They're usually my media partner when I do some of my productions, just because of the target demographic that they attract and who listens to them. And then the other way we've interacted is that I performed for some of their shows, right? So when they've had a Koroga. So we've had different ways of interacting in our lives for the last 8 to 10 years. Yeah. So when these calls started coming, they sounded different. I'm like, oh, ni script, ama? No, see script. Welcome. Okay. Ni voiceover, ama? They're like, you just come. So I'm like, I don't have a gig. Oh, there's another Koroga happening. Like, that was what I thought was happening. Yeah. And then, you know, it was then tabled that we want you to, and then I laughed. Because at that point in 2019, I was hella busy. Yeah. I had just done season 1 of the Great Kenyan Bake Off, which was my second, but my first big TV hosting gig. We just finished shooting that for like a month. We were rehearsing for the tribute series. We were tributing Luther Vandross. And we had 2 shows, thank you. And then immediately after that, we were in rehearsals for Motown, and then we had a 90s gig called The Hang. And in between this, there are still people getting married. And so I'm like, where are you seeing me? Like I'm just sitting in my house doing nothing. So I really dismissed the conversation. I just said, there's no capacity, there's no space. And I'm good, thanks. I have opportunities to talk to them. And so I didn't really give it much thought. And then there were, I think, 2 attempts to reach out to me in 2019 towards the end, but I really had no, and I joked and I said, find a day, like a weekend, where I can do like a 2-hour show, then we can talk. And then, see, I know there's no opportunities. I hang up and said, it's good. Then now, 2020 came after COVID, and we've been home for like 3-6 months there. And I called, wait, see, I told you we still want to. I said, if I jam continue like this, by now I should be married like at this point. I said, maybe this is the marriage, maybe this is it. So then I said, okay, buy me coffee, let's have a conversation. So we sort of started talking for a few months, and really I had time, that was the truth. And I said, I've never thought of the radio. I can't even pretend that when I was a kid, I was like, it's never crossed my mind. Even the TV gig was like, what? You want me? Okay, but it was about food and baking. But I like those things. I can talk. Okay, but this was like daily. you know, and that was what was different for me, not like a one-off. Even with productions, you rehearse for 2 months, you do the show, it's 1 or 2 days, you go home, you plan the next thing. But this is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah, so we found some middle ground, and we agreed to sort of try it out. It will work, it will be the shortest media career, or it will actually be, you know, pretty dope. And so far, honestly, no regrets. No regrets. And also, I think I'm too old to change who I am, and that's a really happy place to be. I don't know how old you all. I know how old you are now, but I don't know how old the rest of you are. But
I mean, you have an idea.
Yeah. So you are kind of
ahead of that.
Yeah. So there's something that happens when you hit 40 and above, where things are just simple. You don't spend a lot of time analysis, pro-cons, mini tables for 6 months. You just, it's either a yes or a no. And for me, it was a why not. It was a, I don't really have anything to lose, you know, and I don't fear failure. I've failed enough times in my life. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll be like, yo, I tried something, so we're good. And I can go back to what it is that I was doing. And I also appreciate them for being flexible, because I also, I mean, I say it, but I don't want to sound arrogant, but I didn't look for them, they looked for me. And I said, having done that, you found me in a fairly comfortable place. Like I was okay, actually. But then, so can we make sure we help each other, not destroy what it is I've been trying to continue building for the last 11, 12 years. My business is really important to me. My clients are important to me. The work that I do in the music and creative arts space is important to me. So then I have some input where, you know, with people we call in to have interviews with, I can bring in an IP aspect to a discussion. Like we had somebody come in from NOC, Kenya, not too long ago, to discuss the Olympics and the IP rights around the Olympics. That was so interesting for me. I was like, yes! And now, so I can do all of these things and meet very interesting people, but also drop some little nuggets of what it is that happens in my regular life. But yeah, so it's just been like a fun roller coaster ride. But after COVID, I don't know what to ask me after like COVID just goes away. I don't know. But for now, I'm happy I said yes.
You mentioned demographics.
Yes.
And I want to ask you a question about that and how it impacts on it impacts on your career. You've been there for quite a while, almost a decade now. Is there a point you see yourself getting to because of your age and probably the demographics of what your target audience is, when that changes or when your age changes, do you see yourself having to do a few things to transition into something different?
Okay.
And then also, so that I don't lose my point, what you've been here for almost a decade. You guys just come and put there. Like what has
the staying power?
What has made you stay there for that long?
Alright, so I think I'm going to start with that. First of all, I really love and still love media. Just being able to communicate and talk to people. I like it. So most of the times it's more of, I really love this job. I can't even imagine they pay me for this, you know. So it's not difficult for me. It's easy. I love being in that space. So I think that has really helped because I'm not going out of my way and I'm not trying to change who I am. And I think also that has helped because a lot of times when you take on a character or when you become someone completely different, it's hard to keep up because you know. But I have tried to remain as real as I am, so it doesn't feel like I'm doing, like I'm working, you know, I'm always given who I am, so it's very easy for me. That's why I guess I've stayed in it for 8 years, and I think I'm going to tie that with what you asked. A lot of the times, like our station, our target is 18 to 24. Obviously I'm not in that bracket anymore, and if I'm trying to remain relevant and to remain true to who I am, at some point I will not resonate with the audience, you know. I will not know what they're doing nowadays or what's cool, what's, you know, so you might feel like you're struggling, and I think when I get to that point, that's when I'll just transition to something else, because the stations don't change their target audience. Just because you're growing older, their audience still remains the same. So it's you to maybe move, you reinvent yourself. A lot of people are talking about reinventing yourself, and you know, so it's either that or, you know, you leave and do something else.
Is it something or you haven't thought about?
I mean, I have, and I have a few options, but I think it's definitely something to to look into like transitioning. I think you always need a plan.
Right.
You need to always have a plan A, plan B, plan C. So yeah.
So like, do you consistently sit down and say, hey,
Yeah.
there's a new song, there's a new shambra shambra.
Yeah.
Do you take deliberate steps
Yeah.
in trying to find out what is
What's happening?
yes, what is the coolest thing that is happening
Yeah.
to
I mean, obviously, I know, June, you know, you have to do your prep.
Yes.
And your prep involves maybe an hour or two of just going everywhere to find out what's happening.
Ngoja, you know, as guys, we don't know. Maybe just tell us what.
Just show us.
Yes, we just think that you wake up and you're like,
No, you
Yeah.
just don't put on the mic and then see whatever comes to your mind. So I think that like on radio, the biggest part is the preparation. So you have to know exactly what you're going to say before the mic is on. Because you might put on that mic and you have nothing that you're saying, and then we've come to a place where we're competing with so many things. So maybe the person listening to you, they're either maybe driving or they are working, so you're like background noise. So you need to be very captivating. You need to know exactly what you're saying to draw someone's attention. You know, so you have to do your prep. You have to know what's happening. Yeah.
so you do a prep every day.
Yeah.
For the shows or for the week, you have to at least know.
Yeah.
Like, if you either pick a thing, like you're saying, it could be new music,
Yeah.
it could be a new movie, a new topic, something that's topical, because you have to leave space for that. I think that's what I'm learning every day. I'm so not an authority at this point. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Madam, we will defer to Madam here,
Yeah.
but like, what I'm realizing is that there's a space that I usually leave for random things that will happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the breaking news of the show kind
Exactly,
of thing, because you
during the
can't prep for predict everything.
Mm.
So the ability to react off of something,
Yeah.
an engagement on social media with somebody who's listening and says something, you're like, what? Pick that and use it now to catapult you to the next hour with a new topic.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, the prep is, even in all my trainings, that was,
Yeah.
you know, prep.
Prep,
was-
yeah.
So you don't wake up to the cover and just go, and that's it.
You can't, but it's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
I would say that it has saved me on occasion.
Yeah.
Because I have an improv comedy sort of background as well. It helps because even with a guest, like you can be interviewing somebody and you didn't plan for their response, you're like, wow. That's how it came to like, being able to just go, we are going to go to a song, then just like, or whatever, like figure out what to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, prep is,
It's very important.
important.
I think for me, I am the kind of person I will not put the mic on if I'm not prepped.
Yeah.
I'm very structured. Like, well, obviously there are things that are going to happen during the show, and you're like, oh man, you have to talk about this. But for me, I'm very structured. I remember when I joined radio, I used to write all my links.
Oh,
When I
really?
joined, I used to write all of them. The other day I came across a book and I'm like, even the laughter. I used to write everything. Obviously, I don't do that now.
Yeah.
But there are presenters who would do, like, there are presenters who are very well, like, off the cuff, like, they don't need to prep, they'll be fine. But there are others who have to prep, and that's okay. That's okay. You just need to know what's
Which
your
type
strength,
you are,
exactly
yeah.
what type is. There is nothing wrong or right about prepping.
So as you're about to wind up, this social media, we can't we live in the age of socials, and wherever you are now, the celebrities. No, I mean, kama uone sisi tunajua.
Okay, thanks. We'll take it.
Yeah. So in terms of privacy and social media, how has it changed you? How has been your experience? Yeah.
Okay, good start. I think when it comes to social media, people will react to what you give them. What you feed people, that's what they're. So at the end of the day, you're the boss of what goes out there. You know, if you don't want your private life out there, you will not put your private life. You know, if you want it out there, you want people to speculate what's happening in your private life, then you also, like, it's you. Most of the times, it's not people going out of there's people going out of their.
Yeah, people are taking
Taking liberty.
Yeah.
I know, but I think at the end of the day, it's what you give. Yeah. You're in control. I mean, for the most part, you're in control.
Yeah.
So for me, I know I will never post anything personal on my social media. It's probably I'm working, but my family, it's like it's a no-go zone. I will not post my family, I'll not talk about my parents, because they have not chosen that direction. Yeah, so it's, you're able to protect your that way. Yeah.
Mine is even shorter than that. You know, I just found social media the other day. I kid you not. I have a very short lifespan so far on social media, and it's because my age, my demographic, and who my audience has been. Okay, till today, we have a show like the one that you came for in June. I had people asking me, so you send me the email. That is the medium of communication. I said social. It's on. You haven't seen it on IG. Now I'm feeling so proud. Me, I know what IG now is. What? To my email, June. Just send it or have it dropped at my office. I'm like, no, there are no physical tickets. Oh my God. So for a long time, the 80% of my demographic was in. So social media was not a thing. Like MySpace, all those, like Facebook was the my first like social media, whatever, and it was to get in touch with friends. And then it was like, okay, what was the next one? Twitter, I think was the next one, but that was more for work, because it's kind of like, it was the LinkedIn that time. It was a bit more serious than Twitter. It's so ratchet now. But like that time it was a bit more formal, you know? Like I would never think of opening an Instagram account for my business, for the firm, but I would think about opening a Twitter account for the firm, right? So then after that, when I did my album launch, that was 5 years ago on Monday actually, is when my team was like, started a social media team, because they have to push. And they're like, so what are your socials? And I'm just like, yo, Nini. They are the ones who set up my IG account. Like I kid you not, I had nothing, or none of those things. So they set up pretty much everything for me, plus the website, plus what. So it's 5 years. So for me, my interaction with it has been sporadic, and I have somebody now who manages it, because you know I do have to remember that we have people who are like, hey, when's the next song coming out? And I have one social media person for our firm and one for, because I get it. Some of our clients are young musicians, and that's where they found out about us from. They're not on LinkedIn, but they're on Twitter, IG, these other TikToks, do what. I'm not on most of those platforms, right? So my experience has been very short, but I completely agree with what Terry says. I, like, till today, nobody knows if I date, if I've ever dated, have I been married. Nobody knows, because they only know what I have told them.
Exactly.
And even in interviews, when they come and say, so tell us, I just go, yeah. Then the next question gets, like, you just have to have a position. And I didn't care enough to share. But I will say that since in the last 6 months, people have felt they need to make comments about whatever, but I'm so thankful to God that I am the way I am. I don't give two shillings, not even. A guy wrote the other day, one of my most memorable ones, and I just remember I burst out laughing, and my co-host was like, what is it? I'm like, check your Twitter, just check Twitter and see what some guy has decided to post on something that had nothing to do with what he was, but he was just like, I said, it's an in, right? And he said, aren't you like almost 50 now? It's about time you got married. And I was like, yeah. So I responded to him, which I rarely also do. I don't make a habit of responding. But I responded with emojis of my checkers. I said, guy, you need a job. Like you need something to do with your life. If I am the only thing you are concerned about, I appreciate your concern. I don't disagree, but also find a job.
It's true.
And being able to do that and sort of deflect it, I think is something that maybe the younger generation are struggling with. We see a lot of like mental health issues coming up because it affects them, and I'm just like, who is at 2.2005 Kenya? Who is that? You don't even know that person's face, their name. They're cowards. They don't even have their actual name.
And most of them are like using pseudo accounts.
So I'm just like, why would you engage? Why would you engage? But I get it. It's
cute.
I got bullied sometime back.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so I posted a picture with my former co-host, and it became about my stomach, and it was like, so many things were said. So by the time I'm like, so I was just sitting, I'm like, hey, so many notifications, what's going on? Hey, opening my IG, it's just people going out talking about my body. And I remember I was just like, wow, wow, you're really sad. Like, and most of the times it's pseudo accounts, people who cannot, like, it's not their real face. So it's just like, okay, yeah. So I think with social media, also evils and cyberbullying has become really big.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's not giving to
and we can't ignore it. That's the actual point. Even in our professional lives, you can't ignore it. So I have 2 accounts. I have one for my own whatever, and I don't have that many people who follow me there because it's only the ones I really care about.
Yes.
This other one is the one where a corporate will come and say, oh my gosh, you've got how many thousand followers? I'm like, you want to pay me some money? Yeah, let's talk. I've now understood the business side of it, and I'm less personal about my posts there. That one, we have a content calendar. I get sent a content calendar, like what are we doing this month? What are the things we should post? A Bible verse here and there, you know. I'm learning these things, you know. How to post.
No, on Facebook I have 2 accounts. Yeah, but Instagram I just have one. Yeah, but I really, like, I'm very careful. I am very careful with what I post.
So as this is going to be the last question. Your co-host runs a YouTube show. Like Big News from Poki. Ask, what's the funniest moment that you've had in it? Because I want you guys to be able to answer that.
Funniest
It could be fun, could be the most ridiculous thing. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I feel like there's one every day. So
with Mato.
Mato. My God. Funniest. I think maybe the day he met the characters I play on the radio. So I mentioned earlier I have an acting background, so I have characters that help me express things that either June is not clear about or doesn't really have a strong enough opinion about, but needs to be discussed, right? So I have 3 characters that I sort of did not intentionally sit and craft and develop, but they showed up during the show. And Mato's face, when they came, he was just like, who is this? Who is June? Like that for me was just, because then I was just, and I stayed in character. I'm just like, you're not laughing, just keep going. This guy was on the floor. Like he rolled his chair back. He was just like, I'm sorry, who are you? And it was so funny because I don't even think we had time to like do a link. That it was in the link that this chick showed up. And I can't even tell you for the life of me what triggered her, like why she came. I think we were reading people's responses on Twitter, and there was a tweet about written in Sheng, and I was like, me and Sheng, like we are not friends. I don't understand this concept. My Sheng of like 20 something years ago is not the Sheng of today. So I think I was reading it, and then this character came out to read there. So he was just like, and I was like on Twitter, then the character came, and he was just like, wait, who is this? And then it happened several times because there are 3, right? And they didn't all arrive at the same time in the show. They didn't introduce themselves at the same time. So probably that's the funniest for now. But I guess, again, it's only been 6 months. So maybe as time goes, we're gelling better. We're getting to understand each other's personalities and humor, and like we're not yet finishing each other's sentence. We're not yet there in our relationship, but I'm sure we're working towards it.
It was back when I was in traffic, so we used to have like topical conversations, and this time we talked about just how like your fast crashes, and so I was telling the story of my fast crash. So my mom listens. Like she makes time to listen. Right? So I'm telling Mike, then I used to, like when I was in primary school, I used to go to school very early so that I can meet this boy, and then we just hang out and we can hug each other, and my mom used to think that, I'm just a good person, I'm a good student. So I went on and talked about it, and then guys were calling, and then we pick a call, and it's my mom. And my mom asked me, you think I didn't know about this boy? Mentions the boy's name, and I'm like, what?
That was not what we were doing today.
Mom! Okay, bye. So I used to think that all this time she didn't know. But she was like, you think I didn't know about I'm like,
Okay.
Yeah.
you know, when I was telling Mike the story, I didn't even mention the guy's name.
Yeah.
Like, my mom called and
And
mentioned
said the guy's name on there.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
Who
cool.
picked the call? You and Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
Oh wow.
It's always very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's called twice before. There's a time I think I had a very strong opinion about men, because feminist. And men started calling and saying, that's why you're not married, you will not get married, you're so old. And my mom calls again and she's like, you know, even if she doesn't get married, she can always come back to our house. And she'll get married when she wants. Yeah. So,
This marriage thing is a proper.
No,
Guys have
what
opinions about it.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. They do. They have a lot of opinions. But it's okay. It's life.
My last
It's life.
question.
Yes.
I think we can't close the show without talking about issues and challenges that women face in their workplaces. Of course, you have been in practice for a while. You're the consultants, so we know it's a law firm called a consultancy. So tell us a little about the challenges you faced, whether you have been bullied by some old men, old lawyers in the city, and then you can tell us from your end how being female and, well, not competing but working with these male figures who've been there for a while, or you feel as if they get the same treatment you do, you guys pay the same such kind of thing.
okay.
We can start with you.
Alrighty, so there are a lot of challenges, but I think the biggest one is when you're in media. I think women are expected to look a certain way, which does not apply to men. You know, like the standard for women is higher, you know, but men, you see, like even the question of getting married, they will never ask a guy. Like a guy is just like a senior bachelor, that's what they call them. But women, you're like, yo, you're growing old. You know, why are you not married? And then it's worse because now you're in the public eye. So a lot of people have a lot to say. So there's that. I've had someone tell me that you're a woman, you shouldn't be on radio. So some weird comments here and there. And then the biggest one, I think, is like boy clubs. What do you call it? Boy clubs. Yeah. So you will find, say you work in this organization, and you will find maybe your co-host, they are able to hang out with the bosses, but as a woman you're not able to do that. So some of the decisions that are made, they're boys, you know. So so you find like the men
they're able
and
to
the boys,
contribute to the decisions that affect them.
It's very easy for them. It's very easy for you to hang out with your boss, you know, over the weekend maybe they're hanging out. But for women, you know, you're not doing that.
Or to be read differently.
Exactly. If you do, it will be very different. So sometimes you just avoid it altogether. But for men, they're able to. So some conversations like say salary, they're able to have it like where you need to.
We're having a drink in Naivasha.
But for you to, you know,
around the
so but you.
Wow, I
when
had
you
never
do it,
seen.
But when you do it, sometimes you'll be like, oh, they hang out here, oh, it must be, oh, it must, you know. So most of the times you just
paparazzi will post a picture somewhere and you'll become the topic for
exactly. But for dudes, it's very easy. So I think that's one of the challenges I have found. So for you to go like ask for a salary increase, you have to prove, you have to show your value, you have to, so many things. But
that's be very formal.
Exactly. So I think that's.
I'm actually struggling. I'm struggling to find, and it's a good thing to have to struggle to find a bad experience. And all the ones I have are much younger when I was still in my formative sort of pupillage internship years. And at that point, I just think it was the torture we were all supposed to go through. You know, I feel like seniors feel. You know what I went through? You are saying 10K, me I was running 3K, come here, just, you know, and then it's like, it's just the bad human in all of us comes out, and we sort of couch it with, we have experience, we have seniority, we have all of this nonsense. But at the end of the day, you know, people are still human. So I remember things like, you know, the word Kasichana, you know, it's in our society also, those are not necessarily perceived to be negative things, but they are. They're not, they're pejorative, So I think those are like the memories I have, or because a lot of the females were secretaries, for example, like in a firm, that would be the majority, and fewer females were then advocates or associates or even partners. Like if you had one female partner, it was like something to announce. And I'm just like, that's not great. That's not something to make noise about. Make sure there are 5, and you guys are 5, and then we can talk. So I haven't really had in my professional career, and also because I remember I worked in corporate for a bit as well, and even there I have to give credit to my boss, my immediate boss, who was the legal, he was the legal manager, and I was his legal officer. We only 2 for the whole country. And that guy covered me. You know, he covered me. I had such a good experience. A lot of the way I work and treat my team now is because of what I learned from him, the flexibility he accorded me, the conversations, because that's like, okay, so something's off, you're off today. It's not shouting, it's what's wrong. Are you okay? You messed up here, you need to fix it, we'll figure it out, but yo, if there's something, tell me. And that sort of made me feel I'm not lesser than, I'm equal. We can talk, but I get that you're my boss. And we're very good friends till today, and I'm grateful to him for that. In the profession, really it's when you either have a matter with another counsel on the other side, where those little jabs come. But I take it like it's part of the act. You know, you're supposed to make the other one feel like you are going nowhere. So I say, okay, and this will be a bit controversial possibly, but I feel like we've all been given assets, right? You have a skill, you're a great negotiator, you're a what? So sometimes we've used it. I'll be honest. I'll tell you, no, I have, because if that's how you started the conversation, it's not like I can't play the game. Right? But to be able to do that, you have to be so sure of yourself that it's not taking away from you. At the end of the day, if it's a professional engagement, it will remain professional. But if to get the meeting, 1 or 2 one of those, I have to do one of those, I'm gonna giggle, you understand? Because they're playing the game also. And I think once that clicked for me, I stopped taking it personally, and maybe even stopped seeing it, because it just bounces off, right? But I do hear, I talk to a lot of the young female lawyers who come through the firm as well, or I just interact with. And I hear some of their horror stories, especially like, you know, when you guys go for the LSK conferences, or you go for a CPD somewhere. That before COVID. I think it's you and your Zoom, you know. But before, if you were like in Kisumu at some hotel, and there's been a lot of
And it's unfortunate that you're saying that. You're saying that you thank God. That certain things have to come to an end because of COVID.
To sort of provide a barrier or some sort of protection. But I'll say this maybe in closing this answer. A lot of the work has to be done by us, right? And I appreciate that we are a 50-50 well-balanced panel, not a manel here, because we are also accused of having conversations in our own forums. That's as females. And not having a male voice, so that you hear this perspective, so that you're also champions. They call them she for his, or he for she's, yes. So I think that's important, to also do the work yourself and engage with your peers. They could be your mom or your sister or your child one day. So we should all be looking at it from that point.
And you can change the conversation without involving everyone. As chicks, we can just sit on fans and expect that that's going to help. You know,
you have to do something about it.
Exactly.
Surely, Misha, we have women. For the first time.
We're so lucky.
The first women we've been having.
We are pioneers.
Yes, pioneers. So surely, there's no better way of ending it. We have to
let it just end.
The
ladies have been very gracious to us. They've given us their time.
This is a show where you say, for the first time you have females.
I know.
You're talking to boys.
Only boys are.
But it's true, you boy child move suffer, so it's important. It's important.
And very good story.
I told you last time.
That's true.
You actually can plan with lawyers. You just ask them one, you ask a lawyer one question, you take 15 minutes.
Thank you.
So we take shots. Okay. Not shots.
Umepiga hizi kwanza.